saying that supply and demand determines the prices, but I think that again, here it is. People are using westernized concepts, which is the supply and demand is a cause and effect relationship that comes out of European thought. It's not applicable to African spirituality. There's no supply and demand here. Mm-hmm. We don't have a supply and demand system. What you have is an assessment of your DNA. Everybody's DNA comes with a different coding. The coding of your DNA may unlock for Barone to say, you get a $30 cleansing. Mm-hmm. And your grandmama did great work praying over your family. Mm-hmm. And you may not have known about it. But for someone else, that same cleansing bath may cost them $250 because the codes of their DNA includes, okay, we got to do some generational work. Yep. We got to do this. We have to do that, X, Y, Z. And, but again, these things, I feel like these things are esoteric.
And you cannot apply Western marketplace principles.
You cannot
apply Western marketplace principles to ancient occult spirituality. The fuck out of here. Like, this is not the Gap. It's not Walmart. I'm not selling you shit. I'm changing your life as guided and allowed to do so by the Orisha and the ancestors. If you don't like the way if you don't like the price point, if you don't like the amount of information that I'm able to share with you, there are hundreds. All you got to do is Google. Find somebody else. I'm okay. You get what I'm saying? Exactly. And I feel perfectly fine saying that. Mm-hmm. And in traditional African spirituality, you're not dealing with clients, customers, and professionals. This is normally, and you have experienced this in Haiti. It's a godchild, godmother, or godfather relationship. It's an Iyanifa and a Babalawo who have a community and a family of an extended family of people that they serve, that they watch over, that they help, that they guide and protect. It's not you showing up on my doorstep asking me to help you get a husband. Although that is what it looks like on this side of the water. But traditionally, that's not how it is. It's a community. We serve the Orisha within the confines of a community. And the Orisha serve the people. And we're their hands and their mouths and their...
The other thing that I wanted to talk about with price points was how that we have a trade. Mm-hmm. In our trade, sometimes because of our trade, what we are paid through it is around about what we're paid for the readings that we give.
Say that again?
Okay, so for example, our trade. So you are a beautician, mm-hmm. and I'm a professor. So I think about the trade.
I'm an esthetician.
An esthetician. Well, mm-hmm. Yeah. What's the difference?
So a beautician does everything. A beautician can do hair, and makeup, and all of that kind of stuff. I specialize in just the aesthetic, skincare, makeup, beauty.
Okay.
No, I don't do hair, in other words, or nails or stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll put it this way. When I thought about my price point, I didn't think my prices were high because I'm on campus for 4 hours, right? Mm-hmm. And then I think about how much money they pay me to be on campus for those 4 hours. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I just felt like if I weren't working I guess you could say socially meaningful position in mm-hmm. society, that maybe I would have questioned or second guessed my price point mm-hmm. or whatever. But I felt that for me, I was able to charge those prices because you're not going to someone who started when they were, in their mid-20s and they, have done a couple of psychic fairs here and there, and they may or may not have kids, and they doing it on the side, and they've been doing it on the side for 10, mm-hmm. 15 years, and because they doing it on the side for 10, 15 years, they charge you $200. No, mm-hmm. I came out the gate charging $200 because I was like, well, my job pays me at least this much, so mm-hmm. if I'm going to work for myself, I feel that I'm this valuable. Was that in any way how you determine your prices? I know that they're very much spirit. Well, the spell work is informed by spirit, but the divination.
Yeah. Okay, so you actually just said a lot when you said that. You said a lot when you said that because the spell work is absolutely informed by spirit. Mm-hmm. If you go to a Babalawo, I know every Babalawo in my family of in my tradition, when you're going to pay a set price for your reading, and then whatever work, which you'll hear it referred to as eba or whatever. Whatever work needs to be done, they're definitely going to spirit. They're going to throw the apuele. They're going to ask Ifa, how much do I charge this person? It doesn't even come from the Babalawo, truth be told. So, and my work is the same way. If I'm going to do work for someone, I'm asking spirit, how much do you want? Because it's not even for me. And see, that's the other thing. That's the other thing
that's
that
why
y'all
the price
don't understand.
changes.
Right.
The price can change. The price can fluctuate. I don't determine the price. I pick up my pendulum. It swings, and the pendulum will determine the, like, Baron is like, this is the price.
But what you guys don't know, you guys think that I'm using the money that you pay for a reading or that you pay for spell work to pay gorgeous. The note on my BMW, which is already paid for. Bitches, get out of my pocket. It's already paid for. But people think that you're using that money to support your lifestyle. You're using that money to support your craft, and the spirits that walk with you are using that money to make things happen for you, because what it is not pieces of paper, dear children. It's an exchange of energy. Mm-hmm. So money is energy. That energy that you devote to your cause, that you give me access to, is then being divvied up amongst the spirits that walk with me.
The Orisha, the ancestors.
Thank you.
Your jinn.
Everybody got to eat. That's what you guys don't understand a lot of times. So I probably have like a bad attitude about it, you know?
No.
Compared to the way some other people would explain it and describe it. But I feel like just an old soul, like I've been through too much. You know what I'm saying? To sit here and argue about prices with people. I know what I've been through. I know what it took for me to get here. I know who I serve. I know what they're capable of doing. And really, you're just going to have to trust me.
And let's not even talk about the price that we paid. Exactly. Let's not even get into that.
Exactly.
Let's not even get... So, again...
Yeah.
One ritual starts... One of multiple rituals is $7,000.
Right. Exactly.
And so, it's not that you're paying me to pay... When I saw how the $7,000 went, it's like, okay... They bought so much fucking food. Mm-hmm. It was 40 people out there dancing, drumming, singing. Everybody ate. Everybody got paid.
Yeah.
Everyone got paid.
People have no idea. So that's why I personally, I think this video is a good idea. And I think that people, hopefully they'll watch it and they'll glean some understanding from it. But in general, just the way I'm set up, I don't do all that talking. Like if you need, I don't do all that, because I just don't.
I've never had a client go back and forth with me ever about a price about anything. I've never had that happen, and I don't expect it to ever happen because of the way that my business is set up. You're not even going to book a consultation without knowing that you're willing to pay that price. But if that were to happen, we wouldn't have anything to discuss. It's like the spirit set a price, and if you come back later, the price could be lower. It could be higher.
It could be higher, or it could be, we can't even help you because, You had this window of opportunity. Now that road is closed and your path has diverged, and what you thought was an issue is not even your big concern at this moment. You got bigger fish to fry. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's very complex. But yeah. And then people should just trust their own Ori.
But people don't know what an Ori is.
Okay. Yeah.
I told you all about the Ori in my video because I was in Iyanifa's Tapping the Power Within, which everyone should read. In the first chapter, within the first few pages, she explains the Ori, what the Ori is, and that being your highest self. But we're going to hear it from another Iyanifa.
Do we want to answer questions? Let's talk about Ori. That's a whole nother segment. I mean, that's a whole other thing. Do we want to see if there are any questions or comments on the price point, and then we move on completely from there?
I think we should move on from the price point, but ask if there are any questions or comments. Because the price point questions, I feel like we've explained as much as we could about the price point.
I just saw a couple of things that caught my eye. That's why I said that.
If you've seen something that's...
Somebody said even if you wipe your money with wipe your ass with the money, people should just pay it. That's funny. Not at all perfectly fair. Oh, see, yeah, we probably shouldn't read this because then I'm gonna be talking shit to people.
Exactly, it's gonna provoke you.
Will the spell work have an impact, karmic effect on your future life? Okay, so I don't really know if they're talking about on the person who's getting the work done or on the okay. So we're moving on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the other thing that I wanted to talk about, well, one of them was we were talking about price points, but we were talking about spell work and you expecting it to work. So I told my audience that we weren't going to be teaching people how to do spell work, but I guess we're teaching about some of the dangers around the theoretical dangers of spell work, which is the theory about how to do it.
I'm sorry, when you say dangers, do you mean for people doing their own spell work or enlisting others to do spell work for them?
Doing their own spell work and enlisting others to do it, but more so doing it for themselves.
Okay.
And when I say the dangers of it, when I say theoretical dangers, I mean as in theory deals with the mind, what you think, right? And a lot of what makes one of the core components behind spell work is intentions.
Absolutely, that's everything.
So that in itself presents itself can be a theoretical danger to people who are expecting, okay, well, I followed this recipe from this YouTube video I watched, so I read this book and I followed it exactly, and I went to Phoenix and Dragon and got my herbs, and it's been 2 days, and I tried to get this guy to call me back, and he hasn't called me back, and they're like, the spell work didn't work.
Oh, Quinn, you know how I am. So if you're doing...
So yeah, now what were you saying when you were talking about spell work?
Okay, so what I was saying about spell work was... How do I do this without... Okay, so I am very traditional.
Explain that.
In the sense that I believe, like my ancestors, that your pursuits should be bloodline appropriate.
Break that down, because you're saying you're glossing. I think you should just put it out there in raw form.
I think that you can only do what you can do, and anything outside of that, you're opening yourself up to failure, frustration, and danger.
In other words, I'll clean it up this way. I'm in Haitian voodoo. I'm not practicing Ifa. And I'm not trying to do things the way of Ifa. Now, on a lower octave of comparison, a lot of uninitiated people are doing things that initiated people are supposed to be doing. And on an even lower octave, people are out here doing chitlin magic, otherwise known as hoodoo, and they don't know what the fuck they doing.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
So,
and white girls,
3 different levels.
White girls are calling on Osun. And I'm not saying that Osun won't work with white girls, so don't even start with me, okay? But what I'm saying is you have people crossing traditions, like, okay, someone who really, according to their DNA, should be practicing, let's say, Wicca. Okay, because for generations, that's what their family did.
Or Celtic magic.
Or another form...
Enochian magic.
Another form of a very powerful magic that makes sense for their DNA. But because in the West, we believe that we are free and we can do whatever we want to, and we got YouTube University teaching motherfuckers how to do everything, and what they can't find on YouTube, they can Google and get the rest, or so they think.
Or go to a Facebook group.
So you have people who are leaving behind or setting aside the traditions that set them up perfectly to have prestige, power, and protection within the confines of that spiritual system. People put that aside because Beyonce had on all yellow and they heard that she's a priestess of Osun, and now they want to work with Osun, and they over here doing things they think with Osun, and it's not working out for them. That's what I see happening a lot of times. You get what I'm saying? And that's just one example. That's actually a very real example of a situation that I'm aware of. But things like that happen often. And I think that in a way I feel, and I don't want to say I feel sorry for people, because I'm not, That's not what I'm trying to say. It saddens me because we as melanated people and children of the diaspora have been so separated and divorced from our culture and in our magic and our power, that we are just hungry. And the ancestors that walk with us, they just want to work. And so we're utilizing whatever avenues that we think are available to us to try to get this work done and try to do what it is that we know that we can do. So on one hand, I'm like, sweet precious baby, here, let me help you, you know. And I really feel like people should go back to traditional African spiritual systems. But then there's a part of me that feels like, no, this is not a free for all. You can't have this. It's not yours. It's not for you. And I don't think that I'm wrong for that. You know, we had our traditions stripped from us, robbed from us, you know.
Culturally appropriated.
Right. I digress. This drains me, actually. Like, I can't.
I'll pick up.
Go ahead.
So, race. So race as a sociological concept refers to the biological. It refers to the biological characteristics of someone and tries to classify them into this particular group of people. Mm-hmm. Now, race as a concept is not universal. Mm-hmm. It's not universally. It doesn't work universally the same way in different countries and in different time periods. But ancestry. Mm-hmm. Ancestry is what we're talking about. We're not talking about race. We're talking about ancestry.
Yeah.
Which is tied to tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Our ancestors didn't call themselves black. So when I went to Haiti and I'm looking, you know, if I see a picture of Freda and she's white, I'm like, what the? I'm like, she's not a white woman. She's a lighter skinned woman, and that's informed by like Taino history. But the point being is that it's about ancestry, which is why Osun is brown skin. It's like because our ancestors knew about kinship. Mm-hmm. We knew about bloodlines. Mm-hmm. So your bloodline authorized for you to be able to enter into certain
pursuits.
Right.
Yeah.
Here in the United States, we think that just because you're of a certain racial group or because race may not exist, we conflate that with bloodline. And so you'll have people practicing shit that they were never even authorized to practice. Mm-hmm. People calling themselves children of deities and they've never had a consultation from an expert in that particular religion. Mm-hmm. You have people practicing magic, forms of magic that they're not supposed to practice, accumulating all types of negative karma, mm-hmm. destroying their ancestral treasury.
Yeah, absolutely. And see, that's something, gosh, I wish I could even get into that. I don't even know how to begin to explain that in a way that civilians will understand that. But when y'all do that, let me just say it like this. And hopefully, because we're about to talk about Ori next, so maybe once I say this, then your Oris will kick in and you'll understand what I'm saying if you don't right off the bat. But when you... Okay. Your bloodline gives you access to your ancestors. Your ancestors have a treasury. It's made up of power. Let's just call it energy, because all things are energy. So with that energy, your ancestors are able to help you, guide you, protect you, and influence your experience on this plane. Certain things that we do make it easier for our ancestors to help us, and other things make it more difficult. Going outside of your ancestry in terms of your tradition and working with deity or working with deity and spirits that are not part of your tradition are taxing on your ancestors. And it's taxing because those deity and those spirits have to be compensated. And it's almost like having a discount card, which you're, or not. Am I making sense?
Keep going.
Okay, I'm trying. So let's say you are of a Yoruba bloodline. If your ancestors have to go to Osun on your behalf, it's going to cost less because you already have access to Osun.
They've had a relationship with
Osun. They pray to Osun. They've made offerings to Osun. Children have been named and blessed in her name. Osun hears you. But if you don't have that ancestry and you don't have that DNA and you're calling on Osun, somebody's got to pay that toll. That toll has to be paid. You understand what I'm saying? And you guys remember back in the day when there was a such thing as long distance calling, it cost more to talk to somebody who was way the fuck far away than it was to talk to somebody who was right there in your house. That's all I'm trying to say.
I'll say that, I'll explain it this way. The Ancestral Treasury, if I were to die, I would expect my children to leave me some of the devil's lettuce on my altar, some whiskey, and Sailor Moon comics, because those are the things that I appreciated. Let's say that I become like Francois Duvalier and I'm celebrated and venerated. I would like people to do that as well. So you have people that are working with the echoes of these energies that they're not really related to. So when I went to Haiti, for example, we had to do our ceremonies. Mm-hmm. I had to do a ceremony for Baron, and I had to kill a goat. And my god sister did a ceremony for the deity that's specifically exclusive to her. She didn't kill shit. Mm-hmm. And I'm like,
because her ancestors already had.
Her ancestors
had already there.
They had already been there. Her ancestors were already there, mm-hmm. killing shit, so she didn't have to.
Right.
So the blood that was sacrificed by those goats and lambs or whatever, mm-hmm. went into their ancestral savings.
Yeah.
So she was able to draw upon that ancestral treasury.
And she didn't have to do what you did.
And it made her initiation much easier than mine.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so when I had to draw upon my ancestral treasury, we didn't have anything. Mm-hmm. So I had to put into it.
Yeah.
By killing the goat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are working, a lot of you all have ancestral treasuries
that are bankrupt.
Mm-hmm. In the negative, overdrawn, mm-hmm. closed out accounts, mm-hmm. needing to be reopened, mm-hmm. not even at the right banking institution. And then you want to go and work with this particular deity.
Calling on Thor with your black ass.
And they got 8,500% interest.
Right.
On whatever they want.
Thank you. If you are a melanated individual and you're calling on Thor.
I mean, hey, you know,
it drives me insane.
But we're not saying what you can't do. We're just talking about the consequences of what you do.
I'm saying why.
We're not saying what you can't mm-hmm. do. We're just talking about the consequences mm-hmm. of what happened when you do it. Mm-hmm. And these are some of the things that I've seen where people are like, you know, I have been working with Freya, mm-hmm. and I was working with this other, Ganesh, and I have an altar set up, and I'm like, so how's it been working out for you? I mean, I think, you don't even start, take all this shit down, okay?
And get you a white cloth and a white candle and a glass of water and call your grandmama, call her by her name. And your auntie, and every ancestor that has crossed over who you remember, whose lap you sat on, who they say you look like. Come on now.
And if that doesn't work for you and you feel like you need more guidance, start with a prayer and meditation regimen. Mm-hmm. Prayer and meditation. Get up at 3 a.m, okay, and 9 o'clock at night. Pray and meditate, and it will be revealed to you what you need to do, and it's probably not. And what you need to do is probably going to look a lot more like you than it don't.
Then it doesn't. Absolutely.
That's the main thing.
Absolutely.
And remember, race and ancestry are not the same thing. Mm-hmm. An ancestry test doesn't tell you that you're 25% black. It says that you're 25% from West Africa.
Absolutely.
And here's the name of the tribe. Here's what they call themselves. Mm-hmm. So make sure that the work that you do corresponds to the relationship that you actually have with the spirits. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know what that relationship is, then you need to come to someone like me or her, mm-hmm. purchase a consultation, and we'll tell you how to get started. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be ignorant. Mm-hmm. You don't have to throw darts until something hits and it works. You don't have to go through the trial and error process and accumulate all this negative karma.
I want to say something. And Spirit, please give me the words and let them be well received and understood.
What spirit? right, I'm gonna stop. Because we don't know what spirit you working with.
They don't need to know. That ain't your business. But okay, this is what I want to say. Western culture has led people to believe that you are free and that you are free to do whatever you want to do, and that as long as it doesn't break any laws, that you should just be able to do it. This is the same thought process that got our ancestors over here, that made one group of people feel that if they were able to capture and conquer another group, that they could put them on boats and drag them 6,000 miles across the ocean and make them work for free and treat them like chattel. This way of thinking is not a natural way of thinking for melanated people. We have always been a people, and when I say we, I'm talking about brown people. I'm talking about people with melanin all over the world. We have always been a people of order, okay? A people of tradition, and it's not a natural, anarchy doesn't come natural to us. I've traveled all over the world. I'm not just talking. I've traveled all over the world, Asia, Africa, etc. You rarely find a place where people actually think they can do whatever they want. You rarely find a place where age is revered as little as it is here in the United States. You rarely find places once you get out of westernized culture where tradition and ceremony is not a part of everyday life and culture. That's a natural way of being for us. Please do not fall into the traps that have been set, because they are traps, you guys. And perhaps in later broadcasts or partnerships that Nexo and I have, we can get into some of this stuff, but there's a lot of things that are going on. There's a war, really, that we are involved in, and there are many attempts and many circumstances and situations that are set up to keep us from our destiny, to keep our ancestors hungry and bankrupt and powerless. Please don't fall into those traps. Black girl magic is a real thing, you guys. But it's only black girl magic if you get it from black girls. And if it's the magic that is allocated for black girls. Okay? And I think that's all I want to say about that. I just urge you guys to follow the blood. You know how they say follow the money to get to follow the blood. Follow the blood. You can't go wrong.
So I was thinking that we could just end the show by doing a few readings,
okay,
by asking some questions to our spirits and see what we get. I did want to ask about, one thing that I did want to ask about was the ancestral treasury and see what we get as far as, let's ask, very big, broad questions, such as, is the African American community in the U.S., is our ancestral treasury in overdraft? I think that's a good question for us to ask.
Okay. I want to see if... Okay, you go ahead and get set up.
Okay.
And I want to see if there's anything that I want to address about the... Okay, I want to answer this question. Someone said, how do you build your ancestral treasury? Foxy G. I love that. Are you going to
use your card?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. So you'll answer that question, and I'll answer about the global Black community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
well, I'm not going to use my cards to answer that question.
Oh.
Well, I guess maybe I could though.
Well, do both.
Okay.
Or let your answer be informed by the cards. So
okay. Foxy G. Oh, you said you want to go first?
No, you go.
Okay.
They've already seen me read.
Okay. Foxy G, I'm about to answer your question. I love that question because, gosh, if everybody could just ask that question and then do it. There are many ways to build your ancestral treasury. The main thing is just like any other I think I just shuffle these cards backwards. It's like any other bank account, any other type of account. You have to make deposits into it, right? Like any other treasury. And so remember, we're talking about energy. All things are energy. So the way that you begin to pay into your ancestral treasury is to give your ancestors energy in the form of prayers, in the form of thoughts. You can create an altar for your ancestors, place pictures of your ancestors on your altar. Spend time at that altar, make offerings to the altar of food, of cool water, of liquor, of items that contain high amounts of energy, money that you have actually worked for, that has your blood and sweat and tears built into it. Those are just a few ways that you can begin to pay or to make deposits into your ancestral treasury. There are, more sophisticated things that you can do, but to be honest, for most of our ancestors, they're not even getting that much. They're not even getting a cool glass of water. They're lucky if somebody thinks about them, a generation or so after they've passed. So you can start by doing that. You can also, something that's really powerful, you can create a list of every ancestor whose name you know, and create that list and say their name. Just say their name. You can do it every day. You can do it once a week. Make that list. If you even have to go to elders in your family and ask for names, and start to breathe life back into those personalities, back into the spirits of those individuals. So I hope that helps. But what I'm going to do is also ask my cards, how can one begin to make deposits into their ancestral treasury? Let's see what we got. I knew I did that. The way I shuffled them.
And make sure to hold up the cards so people can see your deck, because they may want to purchase one.
Okay. So the first card I have, I'm doing that for the camera and then I'm going to show you guys. The first card I have is the card for the Revealer. And this card was actually upside down, which I did the way I shuffled the deck, but I'm going to go with that because evidently that's what Spirit intended. That's what my Ori directed me to do. So the Revealer upside down. What this card is saying, because it's upside down, is that it has not been revealed yet. So the ancestors have not gotten so hungry that they have begun to come through and tell us exactly what they need. They're kind of still chilling. They're waiting for the right moment. So it's not yet been revealed what it is that they need. So it's almost like, they're saying, we know they don't know. We ain't told them yet. Okay. The next card I have is the card for brokenheartedness, which was also upside down, but I want y'all to see what that card looks like. Okay. And it was upside down. Brokenheartedness. Okay. And this card being upside down speaks to disappointment. It speaks to brokenheartedness. But again, because it's upside down, they're not brokenhearted. They're saying, we haven't told them what we wanted yet. It hasn't been revealed to them. So we're not upset that they don't know. The next card I have is the card for the Gambler, which is very interesting. You guys see that? And it was right side up. And they're saying because it's risky. Okay? Now, let me read this like a sentence. It hasn't been revealed yet how to feed us or how to make deposits into the ancestral treasury. We're not upset that these deposits haven't been made because it's risky. What I feel like that means is because...
Blood.
Exactly.
Bloodshed. Blood gotta be shed.
I think that, well, I think that's part of it. And I also think the other part of it has to do with people, because our priestly class is not, okay, I digress. How do I want to say this? You may not know which ancestors to wake up. I think that's what they're saying. And I think that they're saying that it's risky to start waking up ancestors and to start making deposits into accounts without having the background or the spiritual protection in place to know how to handle these spirits that are being awakened. Does that make sense?
So, it means that you should be mindful not to call on Pookie.
Okay, so that's
at a low octave.
Yes.
Don't call on Pookie.
So my advice would be for anyone who is viewing this video or in the sound of my voice, that what you want to do is reach out to ancestors that you have a relationship with, that you actually experienced when they were alive. Mm-hmm. Those ancestors who left a good impression on you, those ancestors who you loved and who you felt loved you, who were not sketchy in any way, who were not dangerous, or anything that you would ascribe to as negative. Okay, you want to work with ancestors who you felt were benign, okay, or benevolent, and just start there. Okay, because it is risky. You know, you don't want to let sleeping dogs lie. That's what you want to do. Let sleeping dogs lie. I hope that helps.
Hit the skull emoji if you enjoyed Osun Funke's reading on the Ancestral Treasury. Hit the skull emoji if you enjoyed the reading. Okay, so I'm going to do a reading to see if the African American, when I refer to African American, I'm speaking about people people of African descent whose paternal and maternal parents have been here for at least 2 generations. I refer to them as African American. They have actual African ancestry. Okay, so is the African American is the National African American Communities Ancestral Treasury bankrupt or in the negative? 3, 2, and 1. I'm going to pull 1 card as a bonus card.
I like bonuses.
All right, so we're talking about the African American National Treasury. I guess we should call it that. Okay, and the House of Our Spiritual Challenges is the card for power, or otherwise known as the Four of Pentacles. This card is speaking about power that needs to be accumulated over time through wise investments, wise decisions. And it also speaks about power that's accumulated through melancholy moments, because the Four of Pentacles also corresponds to Sun in Capricorn. So this is speaking about hard work and domination that comes over time. So that's one of the greatest spiritual challenges is that what are we going to use the money for once we have access to the Ancestral Treasury, and the money is specifically allocated towards fixing the racial power structure in the U.S.
But can I just say something? That's also part of the risk, I think, that Spirit was referring to in
because all skin folk ain't your kinfolk.
Exactly. And so we start waking up these ancestors and devoting this energy to the spirit worlds. What are we going to do with that power on this side of things when it comes back to this realm? You get what I'm saying? Because where our minds are right now as African Americans and the things that we're focused on, it may not be good for us to have access to that power at this moment.
Right. I don't think it's good either, because it took Nipsey Hussle's death for people to start listening to Dr. Sebi about eating well, and your doctor been telling you to do that anyway. So the Princess of Discs comes out as the card for your personal truth and inner answers. And the Princess of Discs talks about consistent inconsistency. And the princess of this is someone who's consistently inconsistent in terms of investing, making money, exploring new opportunities. So here it is that intuitively in our house of intuition, we want to explore the idea of investing into our ancestral treasury. We're consistently inconsistent when it comes to investing.
Yeah.
And making sure that our investments have compounded interest. Are we passing down our knowledge to future generations to make sure that they're going to cultivate more wealth and nurture that money as well? And what needs to be organized, I get the card for abundance.
Because, you guys, if African Americans were a nation, with the money that we spend, we would be the 16th wealthiest nation in the world. The money that we spend, we would be the 16th wealthiest nation in the world. And that's just if we stop spending our money on Nike and all the other things that we spend our money on, and we pooled our resources together, we would have that much buying power. So the abundance that we already have, not even talking about what we stand to give to the ancestors or what we have to withdraw from the ancestral realm, just what we already have access to. That abundance is so disorganized. Imagine what we would do with the power that we could tap into from the ancestral realm.
The card for abundance also speaks about Mercury and Capricorn, which is talking about analytical communications that are nurturing and about home life. So the abundance needs to be at home. The abundance not only needs to be financial, but it also needs to be some psychological and emotional healing to make sure that the bonds that are created are not artificial or flimsy. Because the Three of Cups is which corresponds to Three of Cups. It could either be celebration or it could be infidelity. So we need to make sure that we're communicating with one another in ways that show that we empathize towards the common goal of accumulating power. In our house of hidden advantages, the universe, otherwise known as the world card, meaning that there actually, as your reading indicated, there's a plan that's already going down to reaccumulate the money that was lost. I mean, to retrieve the money that was stolen from us. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So with the universe, because that's how I'm being corrected, but with the universe card being in your house of hidden advantages, it speaks about destiny and fate. So our destination is to come together, but our fate is to get our money back. So it doesn't really matter as much about how the conversations around Black cultural dysfunction or Black family dysfunction really don't matter, because the ancestors are promising that in the end we're going to win. Okay. Now how we get there, on the other hand, is what matters, because the abundance is what determines if we get there by choice or by force. Okay. The best path to take is the card for disappointment, meaning that along this journey, what we can expect is that we will be extremely passionate about it, but are we willing to go to war for what it is that we want? Are we going to be disappointed by the fact that we're going to have to, if we're allowing Western ideology to influence our concepts of what a revolution would look like, and sometimes our concept of a revolution is divorced from violence, and violence begets violence, and you need to use the evil to bring about the good. Let's put it that way. We may be disappointed in having to be peaceful when we don't need to be peaceful, and not being peaceful when we don't need to be peaceful. But again, with this being our best path to take, the card for disappointment is not saying that this is the experience in itself is disappointing. Rather, it means that if you're already hardwired to be this very radical and physically aggressive person that's going to be involved in this movement, the spirits are going to put you at the other side of the spectrum, to where you're actually going to be communicating with the enemy using peaceful means, and then for the people that are peaceful, it may be on the other end on the opposite end. It's
not going to look like what you think.
It's not. Your involvement is not going to look like what you think it's going to look like.
Don't we know all about that?
The outcome.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I'm not making this up. You all will be able to see it on the live video. But the outcome card.
Wealth.
Yeah. Wealth.
That's
Enough said. The bonus card. I don't know what the bonus card is going to talk about, but maybe me and her, we can both into it what the bonus card is talking about. But this is our bonus card. It is the death card. Dave, we couldn't have made this shit up. Dave, we did not make this shit up. Dava. Osun. Osun. I must say, you're really sexy today. Okay, death. My interpretation of the death card, because I am a Scorpio and the death card is Scorpio. Obviously, this talks about revolution, death, transformation, rebirth. Yeah. But it's talking about a rebirth that has to happen on a cellular level. At the cellular level of your soul, this type of rebirth. Because at the end of the day, we're all connected by DNA. What happens to me happens to you. If I start elevating myself in another dimension or another part of the world, the butterfly effects happen, somebody else begins to elevate themselves as well. So the death card is talking about rebirth and transformation that's going to bring about this. But the death card is also speaking literally, meaning that there's going to be death required to bring about this. Mm-hmm. Okay?
That's how I interpret it. I think that the bonus aspect of it, because we called it a bonus card, is that people will get their comeuppance. I think that there's going to be some retribution and some war, some death.
Okay. Well, I agree with that as well. So let's end the show here. Can you tell my audience where they can reach you, like such as your Instagram or your Facebook website? Maybe you have a business that they could come and receive services from you.
Absolutely. So let me just think about this, because actually the priestess portion, okay, I'm going to send you guys to my business page, which is, or my business, it's at The Lashing, okay? TheLashing. You can find me on Instagram. That is my business page for the salon that I own and operate. If you would like to have spiritual consultations, you can hit me up on there for now. We are actually working on my priestess business identity. And I'm going to hold off on sending you there until everything is just right. So for now, if you want to reach me, you can do so at The Lashing on Instagram, TheLashing.
So other than spiritual work, what is your trade?
So I am a salon and spa owner. I own a spa in... A full service spa in Douglasville, Georgia. We specialize in lash extensions, but we also offer services like facials, non-surgical body sculpting, massage, stuff like that.
Manicures, pedicures, microbladings.
Oh yeah, microblading, and so forth and so on. Go to the page and you'll see. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's been our show. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in to Sophisticated Sunday with me, Nexo, and my best friend, Osun Funke. As usual, I'm always trying to close out the show with a really good quote, and the quote that I'm going to use is from the rapper Dreezy. Gave mercy to you hoes, what would Jesus do? I'm your reader, Nexo, and this is Osun Funke, and thank you for watching. You want to tell the camera bye?
Bye.
Fuel my fire, take me higher, I'll be your liar too. Cause when we're here, there's nothing better than the sky.